Hello and welcome to the SPIS webinar. I am Mr. Manoj Pantha. I've been working as an irrigation engineer in Integrated Energy and Irrigation Special Program. I did my bachelor's degree in civil engineering, one master degree in water resource engineering, and other master of engineering in energy and environmental management. I would like to thank Australia University of Applied Science, GIZ, and all who are directly and indirectly involved in this webinar to give me this platform to share some of my ideas on identifying the potential of using solar energy for irrigation, which is a case study in Hilly region of Nepal. So here goes with my presentation. It starts with introduction, where the study was done, why was the study carried out, what were the objectives, assumptions and the limitations that was overcome in the study, the method that was adopted, what were the results, and finally the presentation or the webinar ends with the findings or the conclusion. So I'd like to introduce through my country, Nepal. It is one of the least developed countries where majority of population are still under poverty and they are suffering from hunger, as we don't have enough food production inside the country. About 70% of the population, they depend on agriculture. Agriculture contributes to around 31.7% of GDP. So the study area is mainly focused on the Hilly region. Hilly region is the middle region of Nepal. On the northern side there is Himalaya region, and on the southern side there is the Tarai region. Himalayan regions, these are more, they have a lot of hills, whereas the Hilly region have mountains, small mountains, and the Tarai region is flat. If we try to see the cross section of Nepal from north to south, from here we can say that okay, this is the Himalaya region, and then comes the mountain region, and finally the Tarai region. So this study is mainly focused on the middle part, or the middle mountains, or Hilly region of Nepal. Why in Hilly region? The main reason to choose this area is, you can, on this chart you can see a blue graph, which is the total land available in different regions. So this is in the mountain region, this is on the hill region, and this is the Tarai region. This is the total land available. Out of this total land, the orange color is the overall cultivable area. The orange one is the area where you can have agriculture, or where you can cultivate some agricultural products. And the gray one is the total irrigable area. Means irrigable in the sense it is with the gravity water, without using any other sources of energy. So this is the gray region, which is nearly equal in Tarai, as it is flat, and this area can be irrigated with the gravity. Whereas in hills you can see a big gap, which is around 700,000 hectares, as we have lands on top and water source down. So we need some energy. We need some energy to lift water from down to up. And in mountain, it's like very less land. The cultivable land is also less, and also the irrigable land is also less. So we see a great gap in the hilly region. So this study tries to focus on hilly region to lift water from the sources which are down and to irrigate on the higher lands. So another problem, why should we lift water in hilly region, is we have cultivable land or the agricultural land near the banks of the rivers, which are a bit high, and so we need to pump the water from the river, and it's the problem right now in hilly region. And also irrigating using the gravity flow on upland areas are either impossible or it requires higher cost. And the canal, if you make canal, then it will be very long, and the cost of construction is very high, and also it's an earthquake area, therefore the structures will be damaged. And of course the geology is very weak, and there is a risk of canal damage, and also like the whole canal can be washed out. And in Nepal, like electricity is not easily available everywhere. The lands are might be very far from the places where there are grid lines or electricity lines. So the objective was to find the suitable sites for solar water pumping to irrigate cultivable lands in hilly region of Nepal, and using GIS. And some of the assumptions and limitations in this study was the areas below 30 meter head from the river are assumed to be irrigated through gravity flow, and areas between 30 meter to 200 meter pumping head is assumed to be suitable for single stage pumping using solar pumps. The spatial data that has been collected were from various sources, hence the limitations of this used data are also the limitations of this study. Now, what method was adopted to meet the objective and solve the problem was the acquisition and processing of the data. The first step was to get the data and process the data. What type of data were used are listed over here. You can see the solar irradiance. This is the map of solar irradiance, the global horizontal irradiance data that was available for Nepal from 2000 to 2003 were used. And this data were downloaded from Suera. And the second is, of course, rainfall, effective rainfall, the annual excess effective rainfall, which is the potential PPT minus PT, potential evapotranspiration, precipitation minus potential evapotranspiration. And based on this data, the excess rainfall all over the Nepal was calculated. And the third data that was used was the land cover or the land use, which is used to find the agricultural land in the hilly region. And similarly, the reference evapotranspiration, soil data, river data, and the type of the soil data were used. You can see the map of these data that were used. This map is the DEM, or the Digital Irrigation Model, which gives the irrigation or the head of in every grid or every space, every location inside Nepal. And the ETO Map was prepared using the data from the new log line, which is one of the software that you can get from FAO website, and it uses the data from the local sources, and also the crop what it was used, and those data were analyzed in GIS, and the ETO Map of Nepal was prepared. And similarly, the soil data was taken from the sotor, and this was used for the analysis. And the other one is the river. And of course, in the hilly region, the major sources of water is the river. Therefore, the network of the river is important to find out the location where you can pump water. So after having all this data, and the data was analyzed and then prepared, and the map was prepared, then the next step was to find out the potential areas for solar irrigation using solar pump. This was the goal, and to meet this goal, we had different these criteria, the data, and the data for the solar radiation, and the topography, water availability, climate, digital elevation model, land cover, soil. And of course, these all factors are important, or they affect the sites, or they affect to find the suitable sites for installation of solar pumps. As the solar irradiation, the map or the data that we used, the unit is energy per unit area, or kilowatt hour per meter square per day. For topography, to represent the topography, the DEM, from DEM the aspect was calculated. Aspect means to show which part has sunshine and which part doesn't have, or on which side the slope is facing, for example on the northern side or southern, east or west. So the aspect map gives the inclination of the slope, on which side the slope is facing. And similarly, the water availability, to find out where the water is available, the distance from river was used. Like from the river, a certain buffer zone was taken around 500 meters, similarly 1 kilometer or 2 kilometer. And the other one is the climate. The climate is like annual excess rainfall, crop preference, evapotranspiration, and to find out the head, DEM was used to find out the pumping head, and the land cover, that is the land use type, the land cover data. From this data, the land use type, it has the land use type, and only the agricultural land has been taken and is not scaled. And so, and the other one is the soil. And under the soil data, we have different types of soils. So these all data are from different sources, and they represent different things. And in order to get a result, we need to have a certain standard, or these all data should be changed into same scale, so they represent similar meaning. For that, standardization was done, and for standardization, a scale of 1 to 10 was used. In which 1 means better and 10 means worse. So for every data that we have here, we scale the data from 1 to 10. Like for example, if we have a very good solar radiation, that in this case we on the area where we have very good solar radiation, we give 1. And first we divide the whole data into 10 equal classes, and then after that we give 1 for the better one, which has its high solar radiation, and for the one which have very low solar radiation, we give 10. So 1 means good for us to find out the potential area, and 10 means worse, or it's not good for us. And similarly, the distance from river, for example, if the distance is very far, it is not good, so we give 10. And if the distance from the distance of the land from the river is very near, then we give 1. So in this way, all the data were scaled from 1 to 10, and then after that, all those data were weighted. And to weight this data, all these factors, all these data does not affect equally to find the suitable areas. Therefore, we need to weight the data. For example, to find the location for solar water pumping, the solar radiation might be more important than, for example, water head or the pumping head. So to know which one is more important than the other, an online survey was done with irrigation experts, and then they marked different based on their priority, what could be more important, and based on that online survey and with some logic, the weighted factor was determined. And after that, a weighted overlay analysis was done in ArcGIS platform. Then a model was created in GIS to iterate different locations at different height and different buffer distances. And with this tool, now we can, when we give the input of global solar irradiance, and similarly the soil raster, the digital elevation model, and the buffer distance, different buffer distance, by like for 500, the buffer distance is from the river, it's the distance from the river, like 500, 1000 or 2000 meters distance from the river, PET and AET data, and the annual ETO Map data, and the river data. Then we will get, this tool will analyze all those steps, and then we get the results for the suitable areas. And this tool is mainly the iteration or the logic or the flow chart of these all steps over here. And so just when we input the data, then we get the result. Okay, and this model was iterated for the analysis for different heights, for 10 meter to 800 meters, and different buffer distance from 500 to 1000, and also for 2000 meters from the river. After iteration, the result that was seen was the potential sites for multi-stage pumping or for installation of solar pump up to 800 meters head, and at 500, at 1000 and 2000 buffer distance. This is a chart, this shows the chart, where the green curve over here is the distance for 500. Okay, this is for 500 meter from the river. It's not seen over here, and sorry for that, but this is for 500 meter from 500 meter distance from the river. This is for 1000 meter, and this is for 2000 meters. And we see that okay, on the x-axis there is the elevation. Elevation means the head of pumping over here. This is the head that increases on the x-axis, and on the y-axis you can see the area over here, which is in 1000 hectares. So when we increase the head, for example, in 100 meter from, this is the pumping head, then we get around okay 50 to 53,000 hectares of area at a distance of 500 meter from the river, which are suitable for installing solar water pumps. And similarly, at a distance of 1000 meter, we get around 90 1,000 hectares of land. And similarly, if we go far up to 2,000 meters, we can get areas more than 100,000 hectares. And from this analysis, what we found is that after sudden increase in the pumping head also, the area is nearly constant. So for Nepal, we found out that okay, up to 400 meters pumping head, we have an increase in the area for providing the solar water pumps. Okay, this is the finding from the model that was prepared and then analyzed using GIS. So after that, okay, you can see a line over here which shows that after 400 meters, although the head increases, the area is nearly constant, and it is around 280,000 hectares at 200 meters buffer distance from the river. Then a suitable map was prepared between 30 to 200 meter pumping head with buffer distance of 2,000 meter in Hilly region of Nepal. So here you can see the location of the areas where you can really install solar water pump in Nepal, and these are the sites which are near the river, and these are the sites which have a pumping head from 30 to 200 meter head in Hilly region of Nepal. So with this study, we can map the suitable sites where we can install solar water pumping, and know the potential of a country to install the solar water pumping systems. But although up to now we have river over here, but all the rivers might not have enough water. So when we analyzed the availability of water and the areas, how much areas can be irrigated with the average like flow in a river, then we found out that only 120,000 hectares of land can be irrigated in this suitable map. It's mainly due to the availability of water. Water was not always available. So for year-round irrigation, only 120,000 hectares of land out of 280,000, we could only irrigate 180,000 for whole year. Okay, and a pilot solar water pumping system with a modern irrigation technique is under construction, and this is now nearly complete. And this site was selected based on this map. And we have been planning to install the solar sites or the solar projects based on this map. And government is also using it as a policy to plan the irrigation projects for using solar energy. So at the end, I would like to share you the conclusion of the study. The total potential area for a maximum lift of 800 meters, 2,000 meter buffer distance is approximately 280,000 hectares, and out of 280,000 hectares of potential area, 120,000 hectares, the area between 30 to 200 meters of the area are found to be suitable for installing a single stage pumping system using solar water pumps for irrigation. And if we provide the irrigation facilities to 120,000 hectares of suitable land, this can directly benefit around about 860,000 population, and can save an annual import of agricultural product which is equivalent to $1.04 billion US. Thank you. I think I was a bit earlier than the time, so we can go for questions and answers.
What is the meaning of single stage pumping?
Okay. Can I answer, or?
Yeah, please.
Okay, single stage pumping means like with a single pump, using a single pump, you can lift water up to 200 meters, but we have like some pumps available with a helical rotor, which can even lift water up to 800 meters. But regarding if we like also consider discharge, then 200 meters is the maximum some pump can pump. After that, we need to again have the next stage of pumping or the next pump set. So single stage means one lift. Is it clear? Or
so we will ask them again, maybe if it is clear or not.
okay.
Okay. The second question is from Mrs. Johnson. Was land use or zoning taken into account?
Mm-hmm. So the land use over there, this is the data that was like prepared by one of the INGO and was verified with the government. But the main land use that we use for solar or solar irrigation water pumping is the agricultural land. So among all the land use, like for example forest or built-up area or agriculture or any other like lakes or rivers, the main land use that we use is the agriculture land use only.
Okay, thank you. The next question is from Mr. Najim. What if such dates are not available in some countries?
These data are from the online sources. Most of this data, I think, is available for whole world. So if you need any data, you can contact me so that I can send you some links of the places where you want to analyze such potential sites.
What's being displayed in the ETO map?
ETO map is the evapotranspiration map. If you know like the irrigation crop water requirement, then the crop actually it uses water for evaporation and for transpiration. So this map actually shows how much water is used by the crop for evapotranspiration. It depends on the different climatic factors and the location. So it is different for different location. So I think it is clear. It is not actually, this map actually shows the water that crop uses for evaporation and transpiration.
Okay, we go to the next question. In a slide 6.2, it is not clear. Is there any way to bold it, but it's not a question, so I will go to the other one from Mr. Parton. Was data available about existing pumping systems, gravity, electric, and diesel? Why wasn't a mapping of existing pumping options considered?
Actually, in Hilly region, like we didn't have much more data for the existing pumping system, and we have very less pumping system in the hilly region of Nepal. Most of the lands are rain-fed. They are left barren when there is no water. And also we didn't have diesel or other pumps because it's very difficult to carry diesel, and farmers do not get much more like the petroleum products as they want, because we import diesel and other petroleum products from India, and which is also through like trucks, and so it's very difficult for them to take in a very remote area and then after that run the pump for hours. Therefore, we do not have more lifting systems in the hilly region of Nepal. And for gravity, like we have some gravity systems. Therefore, in the assumptions, it was assumed that up to a pumping head of 30 meter, gravity system will irrigate the land. So, like we didn't have the accurate data. Therefore, it was assumed that the land which have the pumping head more than 30 meter will be irrigated using lifting system.
Okay. The next question. The water resources are based on rivers and rain, right? No underground resources were mentioned, if I'm not wrong. This means that all the pumps will be surface pumps. How this affects to the hydrology of the zone?
It's a very good question. If you see the cross section, of Nepal, like we have high Himalayas on the north, and then the mountains and the flat, the Terai region on the south. On the hilly region, we have rocky areas, and we don't have a potential of groundwater. Or it might be very costly to get the water from the aquifer. So we generally use water from the rivers, and which is surface water. But the pumps could be surface pump or could be submersible pump. For example, what we do is the main idea for pumping is the clean water or the blue water pumping, we say, to filter water when there is rain, or in monsoon season we use well, or we make some dog wells, and we use submersible pumps on the dog well, and this well will have the infiltrated water from the river, so that the life of the pump will also be increased. So it's a bit different from other countries. Like in other countries, we usually do groundwater pumping, which is similar to that as our flat area in Terai. In Terai region, we use groundwater, but in hilly region, we usually use surface water from the river.
So thank you very much for your answer. The next one is from Mr. Topa. Is it possible to provide the standardization value, like the range of the value in characterization, the suitability from 1 to 10 in each variables or parameters? Was it clear?
Can you please repeat the question once?
Yeah. Is it possible to provide the standard value, like the range of the value in characterizing the suitability from 1 to 10 for each variable or parameter?
Yes, it is possible. I do have the map, but it was not included in presentation because the output or the result is based on the scaling from 1 to 10. After we get that map, then only we make the suitable map. Therefore, it is possible to have the scaled map. Yeah.
Okay, next question. And he said it will be good to know what was the context of the study and for which client, and what was the final purpose of the study. Any useful usage has been done from the results?
Actually, this was the thesis that I did when I studied my master's in energy and environmental management. A part of it was I had done for a small area. Then right now I am working under irrigation, which is integrated energy and irrigation special program, which mainly focuses on using solar water pumping. And in order to know what is the potential of Nepal for planning or to also like for the policymakers and also to like have the budget with the politicians. This study was done from our institution, okay, and it is used for planning, and so we could go and ask for the money, and then we can plan 5-year project with different locations.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Next question from Elizabeth Johnson. She also said, thank you very much for this presentation. It was fantastic. What is the average cost of the solar pumping system?
Actually, the cost, it depends on the head of the pumping and how much water do you want to pump. So like water, like for example, water depends on the type of the crop and the area on which you want to irrigate that crop. If you have a very large area and and the crop that uses very very much of water, that is the crop water requirement is very high, then in that case you have a very high discharge. And if the head is also very high, then you have like high head and high discharge, which is very costly. Then the overall cost of the system will be very high. So if the land, the agricultural land is very a bit less, and if the head of pumping is a bit low, then the cost is low. Per hectare, like we have around, okay, I know in my my currency, so I'm trying to convert it, which is around 1 2 3 4 5 10 lakhs. 10 lakhs is like 100, which is around, for like if you lift water for up to 70 meter head per hectare, it will cost around 10,000 euros. It's not only for pump, it's for the whole system, and the system includes the piping system, the drip, sprinkle as well, because energy is used for pumping water, and for every drop of water is important. So we generally try to use modern irrigation techniques which uses very less water, like drip. So if you use sprinkle or drip, it will cost around 10,000 euros per hectare for 70 meter head of pumping.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much for the detailed explanation. We have more than 30 questions. I'm not sure if I really ask you about this. Maybe we can...
You can email me and so that I can write and I can send the question.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe just two other questions.
Okay.
The last maybe. Yes. What are the main source of water in hill area where the study were?
The main source of water is rivers, which is like the river over here is like one is the snow-fed river, which is like every time there is water in snow-fed river, and some rivers are rain-fed rivers. And on rain-fed rivers, we do not have enough water during the dry season. And in that case, like those areas were omitted based on the quantity of water available in different seasons. And so in hilly region, especially the source of water is river.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. I start with the next. Which method did you use to compute the ETO? Why didn't you take the consideration crop coefficient and assess different types of crop?
Actually, ET0 is the evapotranspiration of a crop, and for to find this is the potential evapotranspiration of a crop, and for a particular crop, it is called ETC, which is Kc times ET0. ET0. So Kc, which is the crop coefficient, if you multiply the crop coefficient with ET0, then you get ETC, which is the evapotranspiration of a particular crop. Whereas ET0 is for the reference crop, or it is a bit like for a generalized one. When you have ET0, then multiply with the crop coefficient and you get ETC for crop. And this was done. This will be done after you know the cropping pattern, in which season you cultivate that and what type of crop. And this study was to find a suitable map where you have higher ET0 or more evapotranspiration. It's not good in one sense. It's not good to install the pump because the cost of the pump will be high. One logic was there, and the other one was okay. In high ET0 also, it's good to install a solar pump because you don't have more water over there, so you need water. You need to provide water. So there was the experts were a bit like some experts. They said, okay, higher ET0, okay, we need more irrigation because there is no rain over there. And others says that okay, lower ET0 good for solar. Based on the online survey, those who gave more on lower ET0. It was used for this study. It was based on the experts' online survey.
Okay, next question. Are the climate data observed data or satellite data?
The climate data are the observed data. Actually, the FAO, it has this new log climb. It is a tool, and new means okay, it is a new version. It might be a newer version. And LOC means local, which is the data that they collected from the local stations. And climate means a new log climb means okay, a tool with a local climate and the data. Therefore, it is the observed data, and you have those data for all over the world.
Next question. Are there any solutions available for small-scale farming, an acre or less? If so, please give some examples. Are the price affordable to the end users?
Actually, it depends on the market, I think, and the price and all those things, because it depends on what type of farming it is, or what benefit they can get after selling the crop. We also have a very small solutions for small areas, and if you have if you need, then I might share. You please write me an email so that I can help you with what I can.
Okay. Next question. Did you include any mapping of accessibility of solar pumping suppliers, maintenance providers, etc.? Okay.
No,
okay.
No, it was not included in this.
How do you select your solar power system considering the topography of the hilly areas as discussed?
Actually, in those areas are suitable for solar pumping, which has higher solar irradiance, which is an agricultural land, which have less rainfall, which have better soil, which are close to the rivers. So this was the criteria used to find the suitable areas for solar sites.
Okay. I have another question. I would like to know if solar energy is a reliable source of energy for center pivot irrigation.
It depends on the location, because like in Nepal, we have around 6 hours of sunshine in average, but it might not be same in every location. Therefore, some economical analysis must be done, and I cannot really say now, okay, it is suitable for a central pivot or not, without knowing the location and without going in depth on the analysis.
Another hint, please share the link to the SOTA database. Can you do this? Yeah, SOTA.
SOTA. I will. Okay, please write me an email.
I have two questions here.
Okay.
One, I'm interested in getting to the new climate database from FAO. Kindly give me a link. Then the other one, I'm interested in the SOTA database. Kindly give me a link to that. That is all for now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. You will be provided with the links, then Mr. Pantha will send it to us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you. My question is about the 400-meter depth that you showed in one of your, like the final slide. Could you explain that one more time? The relation between the 400-meter head depth and the area. So is it possible to explain that one more time?
The curve. Are you talking about the?
Yes.
Okay. So I need to share the screen, or do you remember the curve? How can I?
I remember the curve, but I just didn't understand what does the head depth mean. Like, if you could explain that terminology one more.
The head over there means like the pumping head. For example, if you need to pump water from the river and your land is around about 80 meters high, then you also have some other losses like frictional losses and all those, including every losses. It's the pumping head, which the pump needs to pump water up to that head.
Okay. So does that mean that for Hilly region beyond 400 meter, it does not make sense to go beyond 400 meter because you don't get any increase in area?
Like we have a very slight increase in areas, not very constant. It's not a constant, but you have up to 400 meter. You have a very sharp increase in curve. It means that from river, if you go up to 400 meter high, you get more agriculture area. Then going like if you go up to like 600 meters also, you get very less agricultural land in Nepal. And how it's what the analysis is, and also we have checked some of the locations.
Okay, that clears my doubt. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for the presentation. A few questions. I did send a few questions, another question and answer which I did not have, but I have two other questions. The first one is, how viable is the solar solar irrigation versus the other modes of irrigation, and diesel or gas in Nepal? And the second question is, from the quotes you gave a while ago, about 10,000 euros per hectare, what is the returns for the farmers as they engage in agricultural crops using solar irrigation?
So, is it okay if I answer?
Hello?
Yeah. Okay, your first question. Thank you for your first question. How viable is solar irrigation if you compare with other, like using petroleum or other pumps? Actually, it's the environment, and we don't have the petroleum sources, and we have to import it from other countries, and which is quite expensive and very difficult because of the transportation system as well. And also the main thing is the environment. We are very much aware of the environment, and therefore government has a policy to install solar water pumps and also to replace the diesel pumps. So this is the answer for the first question. And the second one is it's very costly, which is around 10,000 euros per hectare for farmers, and what would be the benefit for them? Actually, it's the same case over here again, because we import most of the agricultural products from India, which are also like they use a lot of pesticides, and like 1 week before there was a big issue in Nepal. Like Nepalese are having every food that contains pesticides, and it's very affecting. It's affecting the health. So there might not be very direct benefit. And the other benefit over here is the irrigation project. Most of the youth of Nepal, they are migrating to other countries for employment, because although they have land, or they do not have any irrigation facilities, so migration of population is also very is a problem in the rural areas and the areas where there is no electricity and there is agricultural land but no water. If it's taken as a business perspective, then 10,000 euros per hectare is infeasible from our analysis. But right now, the farmers are not very skilled to like get the yield as per as it would be using good technique. So there are many direct and indirect benefits, and it depends on the policy of a government to support our of course solar irrigation cannot compete with other like irrigation lifting projects, for example diesel or other sources. But if there is no any other options, then or if it's good for environment and if it's good for the country, yeah, it depends on what step a country takes.
I would like to know indeed first if you kindly can a little bit repeat using the ArcGIS for analysis of the data, and also regarding the criteria, you're weighting them from 1 to 10. Is that a little bit can complex finding out where is the possible location for solar energy, or maybe you are using some tool to analyze them? The other question, sorry for making many questions, regarding groundwater, is there any simple model that you can use to make sure that the groundwater is used in a sustainable way? I mean, not to pump more than a kind of the rechargeable or what is mentioned in the licensing in the well licensing sheet. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your question. I'd like to go with the first one regarding ArcGIS. It's one of the GIS tool which can do the different analysis of the data for spatial and temporal variation data, and then you can get a result. And regarding the criteria, it's not very complex, but the criteria was set to make it more easy because the data, the factors that affect to find the suitable locations of solar water pumping are many. Therefore, and we need to come to a conclusion which is good or bad. All the data sets should be generalized so that they give a similar meaning. And to make it simple, this standardization or scaling is the generalization of the data so that all the data will have the same sense, like 1 is better and the 10 is worse. And regarding the groundwater, I don't have any model, but and of course, if government have a policy of licensing the groundwater, then it can be controlled in a way. I think so. I hope I could answer your question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Manoj, for being so patient, because I know that it took a lot for you after half an hour presentation, and now there is half an hour for questions. But we try to cover all. Thank you. Hello.
You identified the potential of solar pumping system in a location. My question is here. Is it possible to identify the type of crop should be cultivated by using internet data of climate and weather situations? I mean, which crop would be the best choice? Thank you.
I think yes, it is possible, but I am not an expert of this. You may be an agriculture expert when he have a data of the soil, and the crop depends on the type of the soil. Like if you have a certain type of soil, then certain crop might have a good yield in that region based on that climate. So I'm sorry that I could not really answer your question, as I'm not the real agriculture soil expert.
Okay, thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. During your presentation, I was expecting that you give me the climate and weather parameters of Nepal and compare it with the type of crop that is likely to grow in that region, and now select the solar system that is, or the irrigation system that match that kind of operation. That's my question.
Sorry, can you please repeat once again?
Is it clear to you?
The last question.
I said I want you to. I was expecting that you give the climate and weather parameters of Nepal, that region, as a case study, or you give us.
Okay.
And now, what are those crops that are likely to grow in that region? And now, how do you select your irrigation system in that respect? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. The climate data, you can get it in a new log time. I already said that I will share the link, and you can see the parameters and all the evapotranspiration, the temperature, the precipitation, and every other data that you like. It's in the new log time tool. And regarding how you select a solar irrigation system, and of course this is a very planning tool. You know, the one that I just showed right now is for planning. It's not a detail to get which which pump, of what size, what are the tanks, or what type of systems. After making a map, then we do a detailed analysis for a particular location where you want to install the solar pump, and you have and this course I think is to like teach you how you design and how you design the system, what are the factors that you should consider, and so that you can really design a solar water pumping system. So at the end of this course, maybe your answer, you'll be an expert to design a solar pump.
Yeah, we hope so.
Thank you for your presentation. I would like to suggest you for next study to include the cost benefits to installing solar panel irrigation system, or if the crop can pay the cost of the installation, like that. You then find suitable crops that can be irrigated using a solar panel irrigation, and after trade the crop, or analyze the time life that can the panel irrigation solar panel irrigation system the crop can pay the cost of installation of this system. You understand? Maybe. Yeah. The other question I have here, I know how to use the QGIS. No, maybe if you process the data using QGIS, I would like to know which band do you use it to analyze the radiation in your study area.
Okay.
Thank you
so much for your question. Okay, regarding the cost benefit, if you are interested, then I can share some findings, and type of the crop that really solar irrigation can irrigate. I think it's very like it depends on the location, and it depends on the farmer. It depends on the market. Okay, actually, solar irrigation is to provide water, to pump water, and the type of the crop it's mainly based on the farmers or the situation of the location or the country. So we can just have an example of such an area, but cannot really say, okay, so solar water pump, okay, for this crop it's good or bad. It depends on the price, of course, the market price. And the other question is like how to do it in GIS, which band you use. Actually, I haven't used the remote sensing or to analyze the irradiance. It's already available data. You can get the irradiance data of your country, and if you write me an email, or if you also can go through the forum or the discussion forum that we have in our SPIS e-learning course. There also I have shared a link, as this question was asked on that platform as well. From there you can download the data of your location.
The question is from Mr. Gorgi, which crop is more economical with the use of solar power energy in Nepal?
Of course, those crops which use very less water and have a very high market price, which are vegetables. You know, vegetables over here, we usually use less water. With less water, you have more yield and high price. So for pumping, as there is lot of energy used and also cost is used, for lifting, we ask farmers, or we suggest farmers to use vegetable in Nepal.
Okay. There is one question left from a member of my group. She asks, she is interested in the effect of water quality on pumping efficiency.
Yes, the water quality is very important for pumping efficiency and also for the life of the pump. We should be very careful with the quality of water. If you pump water from a surface source like in Nepal, a river or some open sources, then you should have a technique to filter water so that you only pump clean blue water. But if you pump from groundwater, in that case, it's a bit more safer than the surface sources. So that you can use techniques like wells. You can construct some wells nearby the banks of the rivers, so that water will infiltrate through the sand, and then the water is collected on the well, and then it's pumped. So the quality is very important.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay.
The next question, is from Stephen Ojembo. He asked, what are the operating costs as percent of capital costs for solar pumping irrigation systems?
Actually, it's very less as compared with other diesel and other pumps. The operating cost is around 1 to 2% of the total costs. We usually take around 1 to 2%, which is also a bit high. I think it's a little bit higher, but we usually take 1 to 2% depending upon the location.
The next question is there any updated version of CropWatch 8.0 software?
I have to check. You can just Google it, and it's a free one which FAO provides. So if it's you can just type and you just type CropWatch, and then it will give the upgraded or the latest version to download.
Okay, there was a question from Mr. Gorgi. He asked several times what kind of irrigation system used in the area.
Okay, as I said earlier, like we are using energy and it's costly. So for each drop of water is very very important. So try to use such irrigation method which is more efficient, and like drip irrigation. If you do like flooding, free flooding or something like that, it might be more expensive, or it depends on the type of the crop. Like if you again want to cultivate rice or other like crop which needs really the free flooding, then in that case you have to use the free flooding method. It depends. So it depends on what type of crop you select. But for vegetables and for you can use either drip or we are also sprinkle. It depends on the crop. Yeah.
Okay. What's the impact of solar-powered irrigation in Nepal compared to diesel pump?
Actually, in Hilly region, farmers, they do not use diesel pumps because it's very difficult for them to get the diesel in their location. We have we have to import from India and through trucks, and also it's only available in certain market areas. And then to carry so much of diesel, it's difficult for them, and also they have to store it, and it's a bit risky. So people do not use diesel as a source for irrigation in hilly region. But in flatter areas, or in the Tarai region, or in the southern region, of course, farmer, they use diesel pumps, and it's cheaper for them to use diesel pump because they have option. They get diesel very easily compared to the hilly region. But nowadays, government is making a policy to have environment-friendly pumping systems, and also diesel has to be imported from other foreign countries, whereas the solar energy is available in the country itself. So to be a bit independent and to reduce the import, the country is more focusing on solar irrigation, and they give many subsidies for the farmers to install solar pumps.
Do you analyze soil suitability for irrigation of crops in the study? And if yes, how?
Okay, I got a soil map from Solar, which has already prepared one, and it has certain classes, and based on that classes, we can have this. I went through through its website to see what type of classification is good for agriculture. And then those soil which are good for agriculture was scaled from 1 to 10. So I did not analyze any soil in itself, but it was the data was used from the Solar, and based on its soil classification, the analysis was done.
Okay, thank you. The other question is, in the data that you were using, would you expand on defining what is good as a solar irradiance data? Like, how do I decide to give one to a data set?
Okay, for example, if you have a solar irradiance map of your location, the one with a higher solar irradiance is good. Then the location where there is a low solar irradiance, the red and the yellow was there. Red in the map that I showed. Red means it has a higher solar irradiance, whereas yellow is a bit lower. So those with areas which have higher solar irradiance was scaled with 1. One was assigned on those areas. For example, if you have the whole data was first grouped into 10 different groups, into 10 different ranges. Okay, then after that, for the higher range, 1 was given. That is, higher range means with the higher solar irradiance. The class that has a higher solar irradiance, the first class, was assigned with 1, and the second class was assigned with 2, and similarly 3, 4, and the one which had a very low solar irradiance was assigned with a scale of 10.
Okay, thank you. Is there any type of software to use data calculate automatically? Do you use it?
I don't have any idea. I think there is not a ready-made tool because it depends on many factors, and yeah, so I created myself in ArcGIS. I modeled it, and then yeah, it's like a tool which I prepared myself.
Okay, and yeah, thank you. And the last question is about a smaller scale farming. So if you have an acre or less, can you give me some example, and can you tell us about the prices and how this is affordable to the users, and is it even possible for very small scale farming to use this?
I think this question was already answered, if I am not wrong. But yeah, of course, small scale farming, we can have like a bit less expensive system for like for the method of irrigation, and it depends on the head, it depends on the area. But if the pumping head is very low, and the area is also less, for like an acre, then we use small drums with an elevated height of around 1 or 2 meters, and we have a small drip irrigation systems, which are mostly used in small scale farming in Nepal as well, and it's very cheap. So yeah, that could be one of the solutions for the small scale farmer practices.
Okay, thank you. My questions are over.
Manoj, thank you very much. Actually, it's obvious that we cannot cover all the questions. That was what we could do. Ask most of them, and your contributions to these teams is kindly appreciated. It was perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It took around 2 hours, and we really thank you for everything and for your answers. It was perfect. And we can finish this meeting now at the moment.
Okay, thank you very much.
And we wish you luck and happiness. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for all the participants and for such an interesting questions. It has been a great time for me. Thank you very much.